$5,000, $10,000, $15,000, and $20,000 are among the big number items that viewers of this channel continue to get at CARES Act 1 stimulus-free money. What is CARES Act 1 free stimulus money? It was money given from the federal government to the states to then give to the cities and counties and then give it to you. They didn't tell you about it, did they? No, you didn't hear about it until you may have tuned into this channel. And now that money is about to be used up or loosed up, is there such an expression? They got to return the money in the next few days if they don't use it. It's use it or lose it. And now the cities and counties are scrambling to give it to you. Cities are announcing new stimulus checks, $1,200, $375, $1,800. And some cities and counties that had stimulus checks before are doing another round of stimulus checks. But there's more. They're also doing free stimulus for rent. And I don't mean $100. I mean $5,000, 6 months of rent, 12 months of rent. And then they're doing utilities. And in some cases, even free gifts during the holiday season. It's incredible great news. And in this recording, I'm going to go over how you get this money, because there's new progress that we never saw before from privates stepping up and giving the money as well in some of the cities and counties that have used the money and are about to lose it, or used it on things that didn't include you. So the incredible progress that we now see is that it's easy to virtually get money almost anywhere, if it's a city, county, or state across the country, because so many organizations are giving you some form of incredible relief. I'll be going over those details and more in this incredible afternoon's recording of Purple. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. It's Afternoons at LALATE, and this is Purple, a recording which I go over the free money you can get right now, not 5 days from now, not 5 months from now. So please subscribe, because around the clock, I'm ensuring that you get this money. I'm fighting tooth and nail to make sure that you get this free money from your cities, states, and counties, and also private organizations, that's available for you, your family, and your children during this holiday season. It comes very quickly. And ultimately, if you found something that says a waiting list, check back with us in a few weeks, oh no, that's not going to work for me or you. So I'm going to push you through that and get to something else that's getting you money right now. So please subscribe. Also, like this video. It really helps in the algorithm rankings. In this video, I'll be going over this free money that's available from your city, county, and states that I detail every night on Purple Power Live with a Q&A. In this video, I'm going to go over generally what's going on, and then I'll go by state and why some things are just so incredibly brand new, even today. Then I'll be turning to what can happen in the next few days, because you know that December 15th is just around the corner, and you know that this is going to shut down in a few days. So what would happen in those final days and thereafter? I'll preview that for the first time on this channel. Then I'll be turning to the federal government. And your questions about the big grants that you are, a free stimulus you are owed by Congress. I don't mean stimulus checks. I mean things like the $2,400 SSI and SSDI, the hazard pay, the CDC, the EIDL, all those incredible things you've been wondering, when are they going to land in your hands? I'll be going over those as well. And with that, let's get to the breaking news. The breaking news as you sit here today is that Congress is not doing much of anything except taking vacations. But what I'm doing is not taking a vacation, let alone even barely a nap, but I'm ensuring that you get money right now. And so are the 14 volunteers on this channel, who I'll get to in a second. What's important to understand is that if you are in a particular rural town, for example, and you're wondering, where do I start? Let me use your example right now. So you're in a rural town in Tennessee, as one viewer so kindly sent me a DM yesterday. And I said, well, Nashville has a free rent stimulus they just announced. Nashville joins Houston, San Diego, New York, Atlanta, the counties of Georgia that announced a free rent stimulus. He says, I'm not in Nashville. I'm sort of an hour out of Nashville, so I don't qualify for that. So what would he do first? He would reach out to his city. Now, in this case, his city was too small. Generally, I start with the city, city hall, city housing authority. He won't have a city housing authority. Now, here's an example of things that I never thought were possible. San Bernardino here in Southern California, not a particularly small town, but also not a big town either. I did not know they had a city housing authority. Not that I would know every city's makeup, but one viewer watched this channel and heard the word housing authority when I was referring to a state and considered that for the city and got a rent grant in San Bernardino's City Housing Authority. There you go. So this viewer is in a rural town. It may not qualify for him because they don't have housing authorities. They don't have something like that. So he should look broader. The county. And the county is big where he is. And so he would look to the county and he would consider the county housing authority, the county hall, the county website. Go on the website, look for rent assistance, utility assistance, food assistance, and gift assistance because of COVID. Then also pick up the phone. Assume that things are not online forms. Assume it is not as simple like filling out an order to get some food delivered from McDonald's. It's just not that easy. These cities don't have the funds to run websites and design websites for you sometimes. So sometimes things are just done by phone. Call them up on the phone. Hi, do you have any rent assistance for COVID? I'm having problems paying my rent. That's all you say. Do you have any utility assistance? I'm having problems paying my utility. He would do that for the county. Then he would also look to the state housing authority. So in Tennessee, he would call it the Tennessee Housing Authority, of which I know nothing about, but he would reach out to the Tennessee Housing Authority and check there as well. Now, that's just rent. Utilities is the easier one to do. When we're talking about rent, we're talking about big numbers. Generally, the rent that's paid is 6 to 12 months. And if he goes through city, county, and state, and he gets to a blockade and can't find anything, well, stay with me because I'm going to get through that blockade in 1 second. He then turns to utilities. Well, you got utility, you got water, gas, electric, heating oil, all the utilities. Reach out to every utility company you pay a bill for and say, hi, do you have utility assistance because of COVID? I'm having problems paying my bill. It's simple as that. Do you have utility assistance? I'm having problems paying my bill. And you go through all your utility companies on the phone. When you're done with that, if you get all no's, which I don't think you will, because nearly every single city across the country, the utility companies are doing something for stimulus. If you really do have a no, which is hard to believe, then you want to default to what I call the privates. If you tune into Purple Power Live every night, I go over a series of major national nonprofits that have been in business for over 100 years, sometimes 200 years, that are very well known. They are paying rent, food, stimulus, and even sending out Christmas gifts. And the important thing to understand is that they're helping everyone in even rural towns. That's their purpose. They understand someone like in a rural town outside of Nashville may not have, the town may not have gotten a lot of money from CARES Act 1. They may understand the county may not have gotten a lot of money from CARES Act 1. And so they're stepping up as well. And guess what? There's a lot of them. In some states, like Mississippi, which I detail on Purple Power Live every night, not 1, but 2, but 3 privates are paying for rent. Actually 4. Rhode Island 2, Indiana 2. It just keeps on snowballing. All really incredible and great news. You're going to get it because virtually all viewers are able to get something somewhere from one of these groups. And when you get it, it changes your life. 6 months of free rent around December, some utilities for 3-4 months. It's incredible. Food, and how about gifts? Yes. And ultimately, if you get a no, I don't have it, or you get a waiting list, I'll put you on the waiting list. Say thank you and move to the next one. Finally, if you've done all this and nothing has happened for you and you're sort of confused and you're at a blockade, then go to the community page. The community page is in the pinned comment up in the corner right if you're on a computer. And if you're on a cell phone, go into the first pinned comment to this video below by LALATE, by me, and you'll see a post at the bottom of the pinned comment. It says, here's the link to the community page. It's news.lalate.com/community. And you'll see on there a series of 14 volunteers that are separated from Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You reach out to them and they'll respond. They're doing about 30 to 60 cases a day, so don't overwhelm them and be patient. They'll get back to you. Now, how about other money? Well, the $2,400 for SSI and SSDI is one of the other things, and so are stimulus checks. The stimulus checks are coming from cities and counties across the country, but what I want you to understand is that If you get rent, that is going to be the bigger number. So $1,200 stimulus checks, several places are sending out $1,200 stimulus checks. Rent, some are sending out $375. What's important to understand is that this big money is available here and there, and I want you to get it. SSI, SSDI, yeah. $2,400 for SSI and SSDI would likely come in a standalone bill in January. It would feature 3 items. It would first feature the stimulus for viewers who are on SSI and SSDI from now to December, $200 a month. That would go on top of your monthly benefits. You wouldn't have to do anything. It would just land on in your check monthly, be $200 additional for the end of next year. Then an increase, up to 20% lifetime. So if you're making $1,000 a month now, you get $1,200 a month instead. And then a new benchmark, different than COLA, that would raise your benefits based upon a new benchmark that moves as price of goods bought goes up in price. Then how about the other things that would likely come thereafter? Well, what's important to understand is that the CDC grant, EIDL grant, PPP grant, food grant, rent grant, all those other grants, those will be coming in January. So let's break them down. The CDC grant is a grant that would come in the massive stimulus bill. It would be for frontline workers. The amount of the grant is still undetermined. EIDL would have 2 provisions to it. It would likely pay the people who had been on EIDL before but never got the grant, and the people who had applied before but only got $1,000 per employee. They would likely get the remainder of the $10,000 EIDL grant. And then the second EIDL would be for new applicants. Then PPP, sure, there'd be another round of PPP. There's likely to be PPP in the CR, which I've been talking about a lot on the last few days on this channel, the continuing resolution for next week. Then you would also see rent grant in the January bill. You would see food grant, and finally hazard pay and lifeline. Lifeline and hazard pay are the ones that may get butchered, struck apart, depending on whether the Senate remains GOP or not. The Lifeline grant is $50,000. Do I see Mitch giving you $50,000? Yeah, no. So that would be reduced. The hazard pay bill, do I see Mitch giving you $10,000? Oh, no. I just don't see that happening. So would he give you something else for hazard pay? Absolutely. Yeah, just not $10,000. Joe Biden wants to give you $10,000 based upon $13 an hour from January up to 2 months after the pandemic's over. Based upon $13 an hour, the number of hours you work, whether you're independent contractor, gig worker. But there's problems with the hazard pay bill. You know what they are because I've covered them on the channel, where the employer applies, not you. When I turn to hazard pay, I always have someone ask me about hazard pay every day or two. Is there hazard pay being paid by states yet? Yes, there are some state stimuluses that have hazard pay in them. They are very rare. There are people who are saying, when am I getting my hazard pay check? So let me recap this for you. You're never going to get your hazard pay check if you just think you just sort of sit back and it just lands in your bank account. Why? Because the hazard pay provision is a hot mess express. It requires the employer to apply or ensure that you still speak to the employer, that you haven't been fired by the employer, that you haven't been laid off by the employer, that the employer still has an office or still has a restaurant, hasn't lost the business to, bankruptcy. The employer applies and then the employer gets the money, then send it to you. So it's not so particularly great as it stands. Will it get torn apart and modified, the bill? I think so. I just think these are just things that are just not very coherent. What's important to understand as you sit here today is that this money right now, going back to the states, this money right now, this city, county, and state money that's available right now, that money may not be available much longer. So I want to ensure that you get this money right now. The money right now has been around in some cases for weeks, if not months, and it's going to dissipate. Some counties in Florida, for example, I detailed, whether it's Broward County or Miami-Dade or Orange, have had rent grants for weeks and weeks. And over thousands and thousands of viewers have tuned in and went to get those grants, and ultimately they're not going to be around much longer. We're always surprised when we hear something like Orange County, Florida, that launches another stimulus check for its residents after they had one before and another one before. But ultimately this money's not going to be around much longer. So I want you to get it as fast as possible. I don't want you to wait past the 15th of December. I want you to get it right away. And then ultimately, I don't want you to defer the task too much to the volunteers, so I don't want you to just overwhelm them. I want you to put the effort in to get it right now. Tune into Purple Power Live tonight to find out how you get that money right now. I want you to ensure that that money is available for you and that ultimately you get it as soon as possible. As always, go to the front of this channel, subscribe. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and stay LA for more.